Hello and welcome back to part 2 of Should Christians Keep Old Testament Laws by Mr. Evolution, aka Brett Keane.
To follow commandments and laws, then you're fucked. And then Christians say, well, I'm under grace. I'm under grace, and it says Jesus Christ fulfilled it.
Here's the thing. They were under grace in the Old Testament as well. But the religious Pharisees put the yoke of the law upon them. The teachers of the law put the yoke of it upon them.
Jesus Christ kept all the laws and commandments. Doesn't that logically mean that Christians have to keep the commandments and laws? The very definition of Christian.
Right, that is true. But how we are to judge people by the law has changed.
Is to be Christ-like, so you got to follow and do as Christ did. If the son of a bitch kept the laws and commandments, then you have to as well. Sin is called transgression against the law. That's what sin is. In Revelation, it says, guess what? You are going to be judged and condemned based upon your works as well as your iniquity, which would be law breaking. Now, I just don't get it. I really don't. 1 John chapter 5 verse 1 through 3 says, if you love Christ, you'll keep his commandments and laws forever.
Right, Christ's commandments and laws. They are different, the ones that he specifically gave while he was here in the flesh, than the ones that were given at Mount Sinai. He has changed those laws for the whole world to follow. One was for a specific group of people who was not only a faith or a religion, but also a nation. And so to break those laws would also make you an apostate or an enemy of the nation.
90% of the book has a God who is very angry because people won't obey him. But now Christians have somehow found this asshole by the name of Paul that they probably never even read all the way through the story and claim that they're...
So far I haven't used Paul.
off. That all they have to do is believe. Well, according to the book of James, chapter 2, verse 11 through 20, it makes it very clear that even the demons believe. Even the demons can believe. It takes a little bit more than that.
Right, show me your faith, I'll show you my works. Faith without works is dead. I agree with you. And some Christians, it seems like they just put their fingers in their ear and say, la 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 la, I'm saved by grace, I'm saved by grace. I've seen this in chat rooms. Okay, I understand that. And they tend to be the ones that don't want to make Christ the Lord of their life. But remember, Brett, not everybody who says to Jesus, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only he who does the will of his Father. They might say on the day of judgment, oh, well, we cast demons out in your name. I remember praying for somebody, and, we did all these works in your name. But he will say to them, I never knew you, you evildoer, or you worker of iniquity, or you sinner, because they did not become born again, born of the Spirit of God.
And according to the very guy that they worship nowadays, because they've thrown Jesus' shit right out the window, is this guy named Paul. Even the Paul character says, don't just love by tongue, you gotta love by action. Do they do that? No. Do they? No. I've actually also heard Christians state things.
Well, I don't know what Christians you're hanging out with that aren't loving by action. And I would encourage any Christians watching this video that I'm making, stop saying, you're going to burn in hell. I'm going to be happy when God tortures you to atheist. I mean, how stupid and ignorant can you guys be? That is not an answer. You have to go and do the research and answer them back. You're putting a stumbling block in front of their faith in Jesus Christ by threatening them. Nowhere in the scripture does it say that we're to give that kind of answer. Nowhere in the teachings of Jesus do you see to give that kind of answer to people. No, we're to follow Paul's example on Mars Hill, where he was debating and having friendly discussion with the scholars in Rome, as the book of Peter says, to be prepared to give an answer, and do this with all gentleness and kindness, not to threaten people. But some people, Brett, I have to say, like atheists, like anybody, they join things because they're full of hate. And they use what they've joined as a scapegoat to project that hate with feeling that they're doing it with righteous indignation. But you will know them by their fruit, Brett. You will know if they are Christian or not by how they're acting. And the Bible tells you what the fruit of the fruit that comes from God is like. It gives a whole list of it.
Things like this. Jesus, he done away with stoning. He done away with all the Levitical laws. And they try to give me the example of whenever a woman is brought forth for committing adultery, for whoring, that Jesus sat down in the dirt and everything and started writing in the sand, and he basically states, oh, for who has not sinned, cast the first stone. They think that somehow he did away with the laws because of that little predicament that he was in the Bible. The problem with it is, according to Levitical law, it states that in order to stone a person, you have to have both the adulterer as well as the adulteress along with it. And they didn't bring forth the adulterer. All they brought forth was a woman that they accused of doing it. The Bible is very clear that it was a test. They were trying to see if Jesus knew the law. They were trying to see if Jesus understood. The Bible is very clear.
Right. It is true that they were trying to trap him and trying to test him, but it doesn't. But the way God works is, okay, they're trying to trap Jesus, but he used that trap to teach people. It's still a teaching. When I can't apply, let he who is without sin cast the first stone to my own life when judging others. You're acting as if, oh, well, this is a strict, situational, ethical event where we can't apply it at all. No, if we actually read the story about this, John 8:7. But Jesus went to the Mount of Olives at dawn. It's John 8:8. Yeah, so I'll start at John 8 at verse 9. At this, those who heard began to go away at the time, the older ones first, until only Jesus was left, with the woman still standing there. Jesus strained and asked her, Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you? No one, sir, she said. Then neither do I condemn you. Jesus declared, Go now and leave your life of sin. So it's obvious she was known as a prostitute in that village, in that town. If you look at how she treated Christ after, you could see that he literally saved her from being stoned there. That she was caught in it. And the whole story is to let us know that really, if you're going to condemn people in that kind of way, well, then we all should be condemned. So this is talking about judging for condemning people. Now, we're allowed to judge people and show them that what they're doing is wrong to help them, but not to condemn them. We don't condemn anybody. And I have a video called To Judge or Not to Judge. That's the question. So, I'm actually out of time, so stay tuned for part 3.